You know what nobody talks about? Black wealth in Japan. While everyone's focused on Tokyo's tech billionaires and corporate dynasties, there's a hidden ecosystem of black families quietly building fortunes through anime studios, NBA contracts worth millions, and tennis endorsements that generate a fortune annually. These are the 7 richest black families in Japan, and their stories involve everything from founding the country's first black-owned anime studio to getting caught in domestic abuse scandals that shocked the nation. Number 7. Naomi Osaka and family. $45 million. Tennis empire. Let's start at the top with Naomi Osaka and her family, because their story perfectly captures how black wealth operates in modern Japan. Naomi's net worth sits somewhere between $40 to $60 million depending on which outlet you trust, built through a combination of tennis dominance and arguably the most lucrative endorsement portfolio any Japanese athlete has ever assembled. Born in 1997 to a Haitian father and Japanese mother, Osaka represents Japan's first genuinely multiracial sports superstar, operating at the absolute highest level globally. She burst onto the international scene winning the 2018 US Open, then followed up with Australian Open victories in 2019 and 2021, establishing herself as one of the most dominant female tennis players on the planet. But here's where the Osaka family's wealth story gets genuinely interesting beyond just tournament prize money. Naomi has earned over $21.5 million in career prize money through 2022, which is massive. But Forbes reported she pulled in approximately $58 million in endorsements during a single 12-month period. That means her off-court income is nearly triple what she makes actually playing tennis. Her endorsement portfolio reads like a who's who of Japanese corporate power: Nike, Yonex, Nissan, Panasonic, Shiseido, Sony, Tag Heuer. Basically, every major Japanese brand wanted Naomi representing them because she's the perfect bridge between Japan's traditional corporate culture and global youth markets. She's Japanese enough to represent national pride, but global enough to sell products internationally. The family made a genuinely bold strategic decision in 2020 when Naomi gave up her American citizenship specifically to represent Japan at the Tokyo Olympics. That wasn't just patriotism. That was a calculated business move that significantly increased her value to Japanese corporate sponsors who wanted an authentically Japanese athlete rather than just someone with Japanese heritage competing for America. Beyond endorsements, the Osaka family has diversified into entrepreneurship. Naomi launched Kinel Skincare in 2021, targeting melanin-rich skin, which is massively underserved in Asian beauty markets. In 2022, she co-founded Evolve, a sports agency designed to represent athletes with the same multicultural background she has. She's also acquired a minority ownership stake in the NWSL's North Carolina Courage, positioning the family for long-term wealth growth through sports franchise appreciation. But here's where Osaka's story intersects with Japan's complicated relationship with race and representation. In 2019, Nissan Cup Noodle ran an advertisement that depicted Naomi with noticeably lighter skin than her actual complexion, essentially whitewashing her appearance. The backlash was immediate and global, forcing Nissan to pull the ad and issue a public apology. That controversy exposed how even as Japan's corporate giants wanted to profit from Naomi's success, they struggled with actually representing her authentic black identity. Then in 2021, Naomi withdrew from the French Open, citing mental health concerns, sparking massive international debate about athlete wellness and the pressure placed on young stars. Her willingness to prioritize mental health over competition money and rankings was genuinely groundbreaking in a sport that traditionally demands athletes compete through everything. The Osaka family maintains home bases in both Tokyo and the United States, strategically positioning themselves to capitalize on opportunities in both markets. Naomi holds Japanese citizenship now, which was required to compete for Japan internationally, but the family's cross-Pacific presence lets them operate as truly global wealth builders rather than being confined to one market. At $45 million and still in her mid-20s, Naomi Osaka represents the new model of black wealth in Japan. Multi-platform income streams, strategic citizenship decisions, corporate endorsements worth more than actual competition winnings, and entrepreneurial ventures that build generational wealth beyond just athletic performance. Next up, we have two American brothers move to Tokyo and build Japan's first black-owned anime studio from scratch. Number 6. The Isom Family. Pioneering anime entrepreneurs. Meet Arthel and Darnell. Isom, American-born brothers who co-founded Dart Studio in 2016, widely recognized as Japan's first black-owned anime production studio, which is genuinely remarkable considering how insular Japan's animation industry traditionally operates. Both brothers studied art in the United States, Arthel in San Francisco, Darnell in New York, before making the bold decision to relocate to Japan and pursue careers in one of the country's most competitive and traditionally closed industries. Arthel moved to Tokyo around 2008, with Darnell following shortly after, and they spent roughly 8 years grinding as freelance animators working on projects like Bleach and Ghost in the Shell before launching their own studio. Here's what makes the Isom brothers' story different from typical entrepreneurial narratives. They didn't just move to Japan and start a business. They had to genuinely integrate into Japan's highly structured animation guild system, build relationships with producers who'd never worked with black animators before, and prove they could deliver quality work that met Japan's notoriously exacting animation standards. Dart Studio operates as a contract animation studio, providing 2D animation services for both Japanese and international projects. Their client list includes Netflix, where they contributed to series like Dragon's Dogma and Yasuke, the latter being particularly significant as it told the story of a black samurai in feudal Japan, making the Isom's involvement genuinely symbolic. The brothers own Dart Studio outright, likely split somewhere around 51-49 or similar equity distribution, with Arthel serving as CEO and lead artist while Darnell handles creative direction. The studio currently employs around 10 people as of 2026, which is small scale compared to major anime powerhouses, but represents steady growth from their 2016 founding. Now here's the honest part about their wealth situation. There are no public financial figures available for Dart Studio because it's a private company operating at startup scale. Contract animation work generates revenue through production fees paid by clients. But those margins are notoriously thin in the anime industry, where competition is brutal and budgets are tight. The Isom brothers' personal net worth remains unspecified and likely modest compared to the athletes and corporate executives on this list. We're probably talking low 6 figures to maybe low 7 figures at best. But their wealth isn't primarily financial at this stage. It's cultural capital and industry positioning. They've become genuinely well-known in anime circles as pioneers of diversity in Japan's animation industry, featured in interviews with Japan Times and Forbes Japan, and they maintain active social media presence with combined followers under 50,000 but highly engaged within the anime community specifically. What makes the Isoms valuable beyond their current bank accounts is what they represent. Proof that black entrepreneurs can successfully build businesses in Japan's most culturally specific industries, and a potential pipeline for future black animators who want to work in Japan but previously had no obvious path forward. The brothers live in Tokyo full-time on business visas, likely the business manager visa category that Japan offers to entrepreneurs, though exact visa details aren't public. They've built a life in Japan spanning nearly 2 decades now, which demonstrates genuine commitment rather than just short-term opportunism. The Isom family represents the bootstrapped entrepreneur model of black wealth in Japan. Move to the country with skills and vision, spend years proving yourself in a skeptical industry, build relationships that eventually allow you to launch your own venture, then slowly grow it while maintaining creative control and ownership rather than chasing quick exits or venture capital. And now let's talk about the 23-year-old goalkeeper whose market value just hit $26.5 million. Number 5. Zion Suzuki and Family. $26.5 million. Football prodigy. Zion Suzuki represents the next generation of black Japanese wealth, and his story shows how modern athletes function as liquidity assets in global markets. Born in Newark, New Jersey, and raised in Japan, the 23-year-old goalkeeper has seen his market value rise to approximately 24.4 million euros, roughly $26.5 million, by 2026. Currently playing for Parma in Italy's Serie A, Suzuki ranks as the fourth most valuable player from Japan and the first most valuable player at his current club. His transfer from Belgian club Sint-Truiden to Parma involved a fee of 8.2 million euros, and that valuation continues appreciating as he performs in one of the world's most prestigious football leagues. Here's what makes Suzuki's wealth interesting from a structural perspective. His estimated transfer value ranges between 21.9 million euros and 26.8 million euros, depending on which valuation model you use, meaning his literal market price as a tradable asset fluctuates by millions based on performance, injury risk, and contract length. For Japanese corporations, Suzuki represents a high-growth investment opportunity because he combines the marketability of a top-tier European athlete with the national pride associated with representing Japan's national team, the Samurai Blue. His career trajectory indicates he's viewed as the future of Japanese football, which means endorsement deals and sponsorship contracts will likely escalate dramatically as he continues developing. The Suzuki family's wealth isn't just Zion's current salary and transfer value. It's the long-term earning potential from a career that could span another 12 to 15 years at the highest levels of European football, plus post-retirement opportunities in coaching, commentary, or business ventures in Japan where former national team players maintain celebrity status for decades. What separates Suzuki from previous generations of Japanese footballers is his Black Japanese identity becoming an asset rather than a barrier. As Japan's population becomes increasingly multicultural and younger generations grow up with more diverse representation in media and sports, athletes like Suzuki are positioned to benefit from changing cultural attitudes. The family's strategic positioning, maintaining strong connections to both Japan and the United States while Zion competes in Europe, creates multiple markets for future opportunities. That geographic and cultural flexibility is increasingly valuable in an era where athlete wealth comes from global brand deals rather than just club salaries. Suzuki represents the athlete as appreciating asset model of Black wealth in Japan, where market valuations, transfer fees, and future earning potential create wealth that exists before the money actually gets paid. And while all this sounds impressive, what about the R&B pioneer who built the blueprint for mixed-race artists in Japan? Number 4. Crystal K and Family, R&B royalty. Crystal K. Williams represents what we might call the foundational wave of Black economic influence in Japan's entertainment industry. Born in Yokohama to an African-American father, a bassist from New Jersey stationed at the Yokosuka Naval Base, and a Korean-Japanese singer mother, Crystal pioneered the R&B sound that dominated Japanese charts throughout the early 2000s. Her influence is primarily cultural rather than purely financial, but that cultural capital translated into genuine wealth through decades of sustained success in Japan's notoriously difficult music industry. She served as the blueprint, proving that a multi-ethnic identity could be a dominant commercial force in Japanese entertainment, paving the way for later artists like Thelma Aoyama and Aisha. Crystal's wealth accumulation comes from multiple streams that compound over time. Music royalties from a catalog spanning over 2 decades, commercial deals with major Japanese brands, live performance fees from concerts and tours, and the ongoing residual income that successful Japanese artists generate through licensing and re-releases. What makes Crystal's position particularly valuable is her longevity in an industry where most artists fade after a few years. She attended Sophia University, one of Japan's most prestigious private institutions, and leveraged her education and bilingualism to navigate the highest levels of Japanese entertainment hierarchy in ways that pure talent alone couldn't achieve. Her personal story, including her parents' separation when she was 5, has been a subject of public interest, but she's maintained a reputation for professionalism and grace that's kept her marketable across multiple decades and changing musical trends. Crystal's wealth isn't just in her bank account, it's in what industry people call the music industrial complex she helped build. By proving that mixed-race artists could succeed commercially in mainstream Japanese music, she created economic opportunities for an entire generation of artists who followed. That cultural infrastructure is itself a form of wealth that continues generating value. The K family represents the cultural pioneer model of Black wealth in Japan. Be first in your field, maintain excellence over decades, leverage education and language skills to access elite circles, and build a reputation that creates opportunities beyond just immediate commercial success. That's decades of R&B dominance building cultural capital that translated into generational wealth. Now meet the Lakers forward with a $51 million contract and $10 million in Japanese endorsements. Number 3. Rui Hachimura and family. $15 million NBA star. Rui Hachimura has emerged as the premier black male athlete in Japan's economic landscape, and his integration with Japanese corporate power is genuinely remarkable. Currently playing for the Los Angeles Lakers under a 3-year, $51 million contract, Hachimura's financial profile is dominated by Japanese endorsements that position him as the face of the nation's most powerful institutions. For the 2025 to 2026 season, Hachimura's NBA salary sits at $18.26 million, with career earnings through 2025 totaling over $71.6 million. But here's what makes his wealth story particularly interesting for understanding black economic power in Japan. His off-court income from Japanese endorsements is believed to significantly exceed what many NBA players earn from American sponsors. Hachimura's estimated annual endorsement value sits around $10 million or more, and his portfolio isn't random lifestyle brands. He represents infrastructure companies that form the backbone of Japanese economy. He serves as ambassador for SoftBank, tech and investment giant, SMBC, Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation, one of Japan's largest banks, and NEC, National Electric Company. Think about what that alignment means strategically. By representing Japan's largest bank and its most aggressive tech investor, Hachimura isn't merely a celebrity athlete. He's an institutional pillar. This positioning suggests a future transition into private equity or institutional investment within Japan once his athletic career concludes, following the path of athletes who leverage sports fame into long-term business positions. His popularity is particularly strong among young Japanese consumers who view him as a symbol of global Japan, the country's evolving identity as it becomes more multicultural and internationally connected. This cultural influence allows him to maintain high-value deals with lifestyle brands like G-Shock and Cannondale, creating what marketers call a 360-degree commercial presence spanning from retail banking to luxury watches to cycling equipment. Hachimura's estimated net worth sits between $12 to $15 million. Currently, though these figures are considered conservative, given his recent high-value contracts and the lack of public disclosure around his Japanese endorsement deals, which could push his actual net worth significantly higher. The Hachimura family's wealth strategy is sophisticated. Maximize NBA earnings during peak athletic years, build deep relationships with Japanese corporate giants that will outlast his playing career, and position for post-retirement opportunities in business and investment that leverage both his athletic credibility and corporate connections. What separates Hachimura from previous Japanese NBA players is his willingness to fully embrace his black Japanese identity rather than downplaying it. In a country that historically struggled with mixed-race representation, Hachimura's success has made his background an asset that corporations actively want to associate with as Japan's demographics and cultural attitudes evolve. The Hachimura family represents the corporate integration model of black wealth in Japan. Achieve elite athletic status, secure endorsements from institutional power players rather than just consumer brands, and build relationships that create post-athletic career pathways into business and investment. 15 million and counting, representing Japan's biggest banks and tech companies. Institutional backing. But what about the American couple who opened Tokyo's only authentic soul food restaurant? Number 2. David and Tanya. Whitaker family. Soul food pioneers. David and Tanya Whitaker represent grassroots entrepreneurship in Tokyo, and their story shows how black families build wealth through cultural authenticity rather than chasing massive scale. The American husband and wife team opened Soul Food House in Tokyo's upscale Azabu-Juban neighborhood in September 2015, creating the city's only legitimate sit-down soul food restaurant. David had been active in Tokyo's hip-hop scene since the mid-2000s before the couple decided to pivot into food service, betting that Tokyo's sophisticated dining culture would embrace authentic Southern American comfort food. Fried chicken, waffles, collard greens, mac and cheese, the whole traditional menu. Here's what makes Seoul Food House interesting as a wealth-building vehicle. They identified a genuine market gap in one of the world's most competitive restaurant cities. Tokyo has exceptional international cuisine from virtually every region, but soul food was genuinely absent. That positioning allowed them to build a loyal customer base of American expats craving authentic flavors plus adventurous Japanese foodies curious about American regional cuisine. The restaurant has been moderately successful in its niche over the past decade-plus of operation, featured in US and Japanese media, including Japan Times podcasts and local television coverage. Seoul Food House's Instagram has tens of thousands of followers, indicating genuine brand recognition within Tokyo's food community. Now here's the honest assessment of their wealth. There are no public financial statements because it's a private restaurant operation, but estimated personal income for the Whitaker family is likely in the low six figures combined, maybe pushing low seven figures if the restaurant performs particularly well. They haven't appeared on any wealth lists, and the business hasn't scaled into a chain or franchise operation. But here's what the Whitakers have built beyond just immediate income. Cultural influence as ambassadors of American soul food in Japan, a sustainable business that survived over a decade in Tokyo's brutal restaurant market where most places fail within 3 years, and positioning as community figures within Tokyo's Black expat network. They live in Tokyo full-time, likely on business visas, or possibly permanent residency after operating successfully for over a decade. The restaurant provides steady income and lifestyle that many entrepreneurs would envy, even if it's not generating massive wealth. The Whitaker family represents the cultural authenticity model of Black wealth in Japan. Identify what's genuinely missing in the market, execute it with quality that respects the source material, build community around the business, and create sustainable income rather than chasing unicorn growth. Decade-plus running Tokyo's only soul food restaurant, building community and steady income. Sustainable entrepreneurship. Now meet the small business owner selling children's clothing from a US military base. Number 1. Shaneka Willingham and Family, boutique entrepreneur. Shaneka Willingham represents the smallest scale wealth story on this list, but her journey shows how Black families build businesses in Japan even at micro-enterprise level. An American-born educator and entrepreneur, Shenica moved to Japan in October 2015 to teach military-dependent children at Yokota Air Base in western Tokyo. In January 2020, she founded Little Mavericks, an online children's clothing boutique based in Tokyo, selling bodysuits and apparel with designs celebrating Black culture. The business launched on her late mother's birthday, adding emotional significance to what's primarily a passion project rather than a major commercial venture. Here's the honest reality of Shaneka's wealth situation. Little Mavericks operates as an e-commerce micro-business that's essentially self-funded and hobby scale, rather than generating significant income. Her net worth is unspecified but almost certainly well under $1 million, with the boutique likely producing modest supplemental income rather than supporting the family entirely. She resides on base at Yokota, likely on a visa tied to her teaching role or status as a military-connected dependent. The business serves primarily the American military community in Japan, plus online customers, operating more as a lifestyle brand than a growth-focused startup. Shaneka has been featured on blogs like Shop Black and local US military forums, with social media following around 10,000 on Instagram. Respectable for a micro-business, but not indicating massive commercial scale. Her cultural influence is primarily within Black expat networks in Japan rather than broader Japanese society. There are no controversies, legal issues, or dramatic business pivots. Just steady, small-scale entrepreneurship serving a specific community with products celebrating Black identity and culture. The Willingham family represents the community-focused micro-business model. Identify a niche within your immediate community. Create products aligned with your values and identity. Build slowly through word of mouth and social media, and supplement primary income rather than replacing it entirely. And there you have it. 7 black families building wealth in Japan through everything from $58 million in tennis endorsements to anime studios, and NBA contracts to soul food restaurants. If this changed how you think about black entrepreneurship and wealth building in international markets, smash that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me which family story surprised you most. And for more such interesting peeks into black wealth, take a look at Black Status. Catch you in the next one.